The Supreme Court ruling that former President Donald Trump has some immunity from criminal charges related to his attempts to reverse the 2020 election results. This partial backing of the former president would delay any trial related to the matter. Joining us with more, we've got Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman. Rick, thanks so much for coming in on this breaking news. What do we know?
Well, we're still sorting this out. It's somewhat complicated, as many of these opinions are. But the Supreme Court has said that the president does have absolute immunity from prosecution for official acts he conducts as president, but he has no immunity for unofficial acts. And the court is sending this case back to the trial court where this all began. And part of what they will have to do at that trial court is determine what is an official act and what is an unofficial act. And just to remind everybody, this whole prosecution, this is one of the three federal prosecutions, two federal prosecutions of Donald Trump. This is the one in Washington, D.C. that is meant to determine whether he has culpability for the January 6, 2021 riots at the U.S. Capitol. So I think what this means in terms of the election timing for this year is this is not going to get to the point where we get to a hearing actually determining whether Trump is guilty or not guilty, but that we are going to have hearings based on trying to figure out which of these allegations constitute official acts, which Trump would be immune from prosecution for, and which might be unofficial acts that Trump can be prosecuted for. So Trump is not off the hook here by any means. This is going back to the district court, and it looks as if some point there will be a trial, but probably not before November.
Yeah, I'm interested, Rick, in the difference between the wording here. The court ruling there is presidential immunity for official acts, not unofficial ones, as you mentioned. Just explain to me, like a layperson, what exactly that means and what that could mean for Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, this all gets into splitting hairs on definitional issues. And I think part of what the court is saying here is we have not exactly decided what constitutes an unofficial act. So I think you can think of it in these terms. It's an official act if it has something to do with the functioning of the government or the president's job as the nation's chief executive. Now, to put this back in the context of the time, this was all about the 2020 election, and running for election is not, to my mind, an official act. That is an unofficial act. That is not something the president is doing in his role as the guy who's running the government. He's doing that to try to get reelected to a second term. So that's not running the government. That's a political activity, which to my mind, is not an official act. But that is just my interpretation as a layperson. I think, and this all is going to have to be in the context of the actual charges. So the court is going to have to go to the actual charges and go through them and figure out, well, if this charge relates to what is clearly an official act, then we're going to dismiss this charge, get rid of this one. So it's going to winnow the case down, I think, to what the prosecution can most plausibly claim were not official acts by Trump acting as president of the United States, but unofficial acts by Trump acting as a candidate for elected office.